What is going on, everybody? It is episode 709 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here back once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. I am sure all of you are overjoyed to see that Brett is back, even though in today's thumbnail he looks profoundly unenthused to be here.
You know, I'm a dude. You're not supposed to look too enthusiastic all the time. Somebody will say you're wanting for something.
Well, it's going to be a return to form for us, more back to the usual stride of the show. So I hope that you're all recovering from the last few days of my dictatorship.
And I do,
it was fun while it lasted.
Before we get started, I did want to say thank you to both Kellen and Aiden, who stepped in my absence to help out. Mary did a fantastic job of leading the charge. I did get a chance to listen during the Tuesday show. So I did listen to that one. Yeah, no, it's like, okay, so Olivia wanted to watch it. I'm like, I don't know about all that. But I didn't really have a say in the matter because I wasn't in charge of the radio. So, but I did listen. You guys did great. It was a lot of fun to listen to. I listened to the whole thing about Phil, who, by the way, is with us again today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary, and I am thankful that Mary's gynocracy has ended.
How dare you? How dare you say that?
I just actually wanted to slide that term gynocracy in.
I guess it was.
Well, that's where I'm coming up. I want to make the term longhouse communism to be a very, very popular term one day. That's what we're heading for. We're not just heading for, what's new will be female communism.
I mean, we are in the longhouse.
Because what I was pointing out when I was traveling, by the way, guys, this is the last time I'll be traveling. I've had a bunch of familial
not ever,
family,
but for the year,
I had a lot of family obligations over the summer. I mean, the first 2 years that I was here,
you'll be here Christmas Day.
I will. No, the first 2 years I was here, I didn't so much as miss a day of work, but I had some family obligations that had to send me home a couple of times this year. But what I wanted to say was, when you're at the airport and you look at because the airports, they're full of ads. Everywhere. Everything is an ad for something. And what it is, it's all companies trying to convince you to shop with them by advertising some type of social cause, whether it's donating to a charity, whether it's benefiting the environment. There's a lot of environmentalism there, social justice, all of these things. Every business is advertising for that because that's the world we're heading to. We're heading to the longhouse communism where everything is
it's longhouse capitalism. What you're seeing is a bunch of marketing campaigns for women.
All of these companies have government contracts. This is an airport, for gosh sakes.
Calling it capitalism is a little overstated.
Actually, we are three people who travel more than most. And now I need to ask you, Brett, have you gone through the Penn-Fed tunnel at Dulles Airport?
I don't even know what that means.
The Penn-Fed tunnel. Have you been through it?
I think you talked about
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I've mentioned this on the show before. If you've been to this airport, you should know about this and avoid it at all costs.
Okay.
But there is a tunnel in the airport you have to go through to get to one of the terminals. And the entire walls are just Penn-Fed. And then they play a jingle at you. And you can't escape.
Is it when you go in? Like, is it if you parked yourself and then went in?
No. I mean, it's inside the airport.
Okay.
Once you're getting to your gate, and it's just the jingle playing over and over and over on a permanent loop.
Sounds like a great hook for like a scene in a horror movie.
Penn-Fed has great rates for everyone.
Well, okay, so
that's what it is.
I'm so
over and over again.
I'm so deaf in one ear that a lot of times I don't hear anything like that's playing on intercoms.
Blissful ignorance.
Yeah, like
that is a
Olivia will point out the repeated songs because all these businesses use the same Sirius XM stations, and she'll just point these songs. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I can't hear that right now. That's awesome.
I like that Chick-fil-A just plays lo-fi beats and like piano music.
Also, I want to point out that from what I've experienced, and I could be wrong, Chick-fil-A seems to be the only business at an airport that doesn't seem to charge obscenely higher prices.
But the line is like 100 people.
And it's also never open on Sundays.
But the point is like I got waffle fries at Chick-fil-A, and I'm pretty sure I paid the same price at the airport that I would pay at an actual Chick-fil-A.
I'm glad we're back to talking about food because I was
starving.
just like, I am starving, but I really want to try the chicken Big Mac. I didn't know this was a thing, but I saw it yesterday
How's that sound to you? Want to try that?
I mean, I would try it. I would definitely get a backup burger, but I would try it.
A backup burger?
Yeah, backup burger is when you're trying new things. You get
Just in case.
You get the new thing, right? You get the new thing, and you also get an old standard, something that you know you like. So that way, if the new thing sucks, you have the backup burger.
I do that all the time. If I'm trying something new, which is very rare.
Okay, I've never been hungry enough for a backup burger, but
You're the size of You're 3 apples tall. What are you talking about? You can't.
3 apples
there's
tall.
No way.
I'm 4 otters taped together.
You
Yes,
are.
I saw
and also,
that.
it doesn't matter how big you are for the backup burger. You don't have to eat the backup burger.
Right.
You have to be frivolous and wasteful if you don't eat it. You know, so it's a little on the bougie side. You know.
Yeah,
you get
I'm
yourself
not bougie like that. I also really need to try the Krabby Patty meal at Wendy's.
You'll have to do that.
Because it's literally just a burger that they make it look like a Krabby Patty because I'm an adult child.
We also have a poll up today, ladies and gentlemen. Mary asked the question to you guys, are you or are you not married? And right now we're sitting at 68%, so the percentage has evened out far more. It was sitting at about 80%. 68% of you say no, you are not married, which is important because we're going to be covering a topic today where a Trump supporter sabotaged a, quote, Date A Dem event, which sounds hilarious to me. So maybe we're going to have to make a data crisis act.
Data crisis actor speeding event for all the
Speed dating
fans.
event, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
But we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. But again, before we get started, let me get back on track here. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. And remember to share this video, these live streams, these segments with your friends. The best way to help the show grow is to share the material out so that new people can find it. I also want to say hello to the new subscribers. So if you guys don't know, we actually started running an ad campaign here at the end of last week.
Are you putting us on blast right now?
Yeah, we are out advertising the show.
Yeah.
We want new people to show up and check out this show. And if you're not familiar with me, because I have not been here for the last 3 days, I am one of the hosts here. My name is Brett.
I was wondering if anyone in the chat was going to bring up the ads because they're running on YouTube currently, but nobody has seemed to notice yet.
It would be cool if you saw the ad like on our own video.
That'd be a little bit pointless. Yeah.
So,
I gotta ask: are there people in the chat that don't know Brett? Is that even a possible thing?
We just
we
started.
have 2,000 new people.
Yeah.
So
Since really?
Yeah.
Since the weekend.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. That's great.
So the point is if they don't, the whole thing is like they click on the show, they see our faces, but then Monday rolls around and I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So just reintroducing myself to the rest of you, you know who I am.
Someone
So
goes, who's this Bart guy?
what are we getting into today? Well, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. First thing
Fat
first.
Halo.
Yes, we are going to talk about Fat Halo, Fat Master
Hey, there's
Chief.
a $20 one.
Oh, go for that.
I think.
was there?
Yep.
I don't think I
I
see
missed
it.
you, Brett.
No.
I don't think there's
Down.
a.
I missed you, Brett. However, I did prefer. This is from Nate. I missed you, Brett. However, I did prefer the show without cue to the day. Phil, don't you have some music to be failing at right now? Mary, I have no smart mouth comments.
Okay. Yeah, you're on good behavior. Why do you hate cute pets?
Why would you hate seeing cute pets? That's awful.
Are you
I don't
okay?
know.
That's bad. Okay. So, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. We are going to talk about Piers Morgan, who might have gotten a night letter from Jay-Z and Beyonce because he issued an apology after his video last week wherein he had a guest who said that, Beyonce was basically a serial killer.
Well, yeah.
That's what she said, not me.
Yeah, Jay-Z as well was implicated in this.
Allegedly.
Yeah, the allegations were extensive.
So we're going to talk about that apology. We're also going to talk about Taylor Swift, who is being put on blast herself for daring to donate to victims of Hurricane Milton. Imagine being taken out by someone named Milton. That's what I was reading about. People were making
That's
that
it.
joke.
That just means that you can get in trouble for literally anything. Giving $5 million to a disaster.
The reason they're mad, they're saying, how can you give to hurricane relief when there's people in Palestine that are suffering?
Going on in
Gaza.
Gaza.
Yep. I saw a meme that says, no way I'm being taken out by someone named Milton.
Fair enough.
It could be worse. It could have been Hurricane Melvin.
I can't wait to talk smack about that one.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this young woman who I believe we talked about earlier in the year or last year who set out to sleep with 300 people in 1 year. I'm sure her parents are very proud.
Her vagina fell out.
Yep, but the point is this year she is set out with a new goal of sleeping with with 480 partners in 1 year, but don't get excited. You have to fill out an application to actually get a chance. You have to apply.
Yes, she's very selective.
She is.
God,
so we're going to talk about
gross.
that. And we are also going to talk about the A Dem event that a Trump supporter managed to get in there and sabotage.
That looks fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys are ready, we'll just get started. You ready, Mary?
Let's go.
Phil.
Let's go.
All right. First things first. Let's get right into it. Actually, hold up. Before we get started again, we do have new merch here. I want to shout this out one more time. It is autumn. Mary was just saying before the show that, it's already getting colder out.
Yeah,
right?
you need a hoodie.
You need a hoodie.
In times like these.
Right now, we have the brand new Stealth Pullover. It is available on the PCC Teespring. Go and check it out. It is for those of you who are like me, who do not like big flashy logos all over their clothes.
Yeah,
Go and check that out.
tasteful, demure, mindful.
Oh,
That is the worst meme that I think that I've heard this year.
I heard somebody say it out loud while we were at a store the other day.
It was the
Yeah.
worst meme of the year, unless the next 2 months surprised me.
It's a high bar.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's just set Phil off right away. Who wants to talk about Fat Master Chief?
Master Beef.
So where is this coming from? Is this a new game?
Phil?
It's the new Halo game. Well, it's not the new Halo game. It's in development currently. And there is a big change at 343 Industries, which is the old name of this studio.
Because this was Unreal Engine, right, that they used
They're
here?
using Unreal Engine. They changed the studio name to Halo Studios, and that's the reason for this video they put out there to announce they're changing the name and to introduce you to some of the people making it, which is, in my opinion, a massive mistake because, of course, all of the blah, blah, blah woke stuff there, it's woke and blah, blah, blah. That criticism came as everyone should have expected. There is legitimacy to be critical of 343 Industries or Halo Studios because the last game they put out, Halo Infinite, was an absolute train wreck. They literally killed 2/3 of the game. They were supposed to have seasons like Destiny 2 does.
Okay.
There was supposed to be all kinds of things, and they didn't do any of it because they couldn't get their crap together. It was an absolute train wreck. There was a handful of cool things. The grappling hook, some of the features in the game were cool, but overall, the way that the project was run was it was atrocious. It was just horrible. And to do that to a property like Halo, I just feel like that is it's unforgivable because Halo is a built-in win if you make the game properly. If you produce the game, get it out on time, and get the content out on time, you're almost guaranteed to have a win.
I mean,
but it
most
was
of the
nothing
time,
but a train wreck.
like the deadlines end up being a misnomer, right? They're almost always late.
Well, yeah. I mean, nowadays games do tend to come out almost incomplete. It's almost as if they released the beta
version,
and then they go ahead and fill in the blanks. But Halo was uniquely bad, or at least, I'm sorry, Halo Infinite was uniquely bad. I think that they went to Unreal Engine because they did such a bad job of coding and doing all the stuff. So they're like, well, we'll just get the Unreal Engine and half the job will be done. I think that this is going to be just as much of a botched game, and Master Chief no longer looks intimidating and like a what a Spartan should. He looks like a dad bod.
Yeah, they said dad bod Master Chief. You know what the first thing it made me think of is there's been too much complaining over the last couple of years about how they ugly up all the female characters, but the male characters get left the same. And they're like, oh, you think that's going to make
equality?
it better? We can make
We'll
it
give it to
worse.
So there's one more significant criticism that I have, and I think this speaks to the impulse or the new thing that's going on where you don't really get new stuff. You get throwbacks, right? Like there's no new.
So remaking video games.
Well, yeah. So if you look at Master Chief's, the way his look, the artist, they took the Halo Combat Evolved, the very first Halo game, and essentially revamped it. So it's the same armor, just in Unreal Engine. And I can't help but feel like that is the same, nostalgia attempt to get people, oh, remember this. It was good in Halo Combat Evolved. Remember the first Halo. The mask is almost exactly the same as the
but
first
that
one.
makes more sense if they're advertising a remake of a game than if you're doing something new and then just making random changes.
But it's not a remake.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't actually fit when they're not making a remake.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's terrible. And I think that the fact that they're doing that is because they're trying to trying to, do the whole like, hey, remember when it was good? Remember when it was cool? I have very, very, very low expectations for this. I really think it's going to end up being bad. I would love to be proven wrong because Unreal Engine does look great. Like the stills that I've seen and the little videos that I've seen, it does look good.
Yeah.
The art direction, it doesn't really impress me, and I don't have any faith in the studio anymore. I think that they're probably going to blow it because they've been run by clowns for a while. Halo 5 was terrible. I think Halo 4 was pretty much garbage. Halo 5 was bad. Infinite tried.
It shows you how long people will stay on, even if you haven't delivered like a product that they're happy with in quite some time. Like,
Look, man,
people are willing to give you a lot of chances until they finally check out.
Also, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3 were just absolutely stellar games. They were great from start to finish. Like even though Halo 2 wasn't finished, right? Halo 2 was released, and the reason they did the whole finish the fight thing, or finishing this fight at the end of Halo 2, it was because they didn't get it done. They had they overpromised and couldn't deliver, which people didn't mind because the game was great.
Yeah.
The stuff that they did deliver was just so good. The multiplayer was so good. So, and it was early Xbox Live stuff. So, there is that to help it's to help it be more successful. But I don't know, Mary, what do you think of Halo?
I'm not a gamer, so I don't know.
That's why I said it. Put you on the spot.
I just say gamer words. I don't game.
Whoa!
The criticism makes perfect sense to me, but also there were people in the comments saying you haven't played Combat Evolved, and it shows. So it shows that in the comments to this, people were criticizing using that as the excuse as to why it looks the way that it does.
Yeah, it's sad. I like I said, I have hopes, and the picture that you got up. Yep. You had up like the two comparison of Halo 3 to this new. I mean, it's cool lighting and stuff, but he definitely looks like fat.
They said softer, less intimidating. Someone pointed out they rounded his bulge.
Yeah, they did all that stuff.
Looks like he has a vagine now.
Well,
it's true that it is softer and less intimidating.
DEI? Is this a form of DEI?
I hate to say that. I don't want to throw that around because it's always kind of like it's almost cliche now. But the woman that's in charge.
That was I was pointing out, like, people have had a lot of criticisms of that. And
there's a stereotype.
The same thing. The same thing was happening when people were criticizing what they were doing with Ghost of Yotei and saying that this lead actress, who's now going to play the main character in there, could affect the storytelling because of her political views. We don't know that. For sure.
When you refer to the woman in charge, who are you referring to? And what do we know about her?
This is
a whole lot of rainbows on
this is her LinkedIn.
Yes, this is her.
Her LinkedIn has a banner that is the gay flag with also the brown and black stripes to show solidarity with trans women of color, I assume. So her name is... What was her name?
Yeah, and I mean, all that says to a lot of people is that what you're seeing is the people being put in charge don't have their focus squarely on the games, that they're activists first. I can't say that. Just because you put that flag in your bio does not necessarily mean you can't make a good game.
There is a $20.
There's obviously
a high chance, though. Is there a 20?
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing these? David Dorr said, wasn't Stephen Root's character in Office Space named Milton? He burned the whole building down. Justice for Milton.
That's a good point. I love the end of that movie, too. I rewatched that for the first time in years pretty recently, and it's really funny to go back and look at movies that look upon 90s or early 2000s office culture with this weird critical lens, like, oh no, we've all got secure 401ks and boring jobs. How rough is life when things are so easy for you? People were making movies about not having meaning in their lives even back then. Now it's weird how back then when they made those movies, you made a movie that criticizes a lack of motivation or a lack of meaning in your life because all you are is an office drone. But you're making that criticism at a time where it's like, yeah, sure, you're not fulfilled, but you do got a 401k. and you do got a job that's going to give you a steady paycheck week to week, and the economy isn't so awful. Now you think about that. People have the same office jobs with less security. And now it's like, now what used to be a little bit of like boredom and, you know, you're kind of, it's the doldrums. Now it's panic.
Yeah.
There's a different tone to that type of film now. What was once apathy has turned to fear. In the way that those things are looked, the way we criticize like suburban culture.
Well,
in
as
the early
for
2000s.
suburban culture, that was American Beauty,
Yes.
to a T.
I mean, and there's a lot of that, right? Like but that was from city folk. The people who were making those movies, maybe they grew up in the suburbs with their parents. It's like whenever you see the meme, it's like, this is the place the kid in the emo song is mad about, and it's just the nicest suburb you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But a lot of those criticisms came from coastal elite artist types.
Yeah, but they were channeling a resentment for
Their families.
from which they came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I always think that that's very interesting because I don't know. It's like it's not really a prerequisite of anybody to have to be from a certain time period or from a certain place to criticize something. But it does make you wonder sometimes if there was a bit of an agenda before that even happened.
Someone said Uber is the new 401k. That is so dark.
That is really depressing.
And another said, well, I won't buy Halo if they soften it. They softened Master Chief.
They did.
It's flaccid, Chief.
Yeah.
Flaccid Chief.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on then. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, ladies and gentlemen. Al Pacino has some advice for you. Don't worry about life after death because there's nothing there.
Yeah, Al Pacino was recently talking about a near-death experience he had when he contracted COVID. And he said, I didn't see the white light or anything. There's nothing there. No more. You're gone.
Maybe that's just a sign of how bad he is. Maybe he's just a bad person.
Maybe that's what hell is.
Yeah.
Infinite blackness.
Yeah. And like you're actually alive the whole time. You're just stuck there.
He's not going a great place. But yeah, this was his claim that there is no afterlife because of his near-death experience. And you could point to just as many other near-death experiences where people recall much different things.
Yeah.
So I don't really think this is proof one way or the other.
I do like the authority in which he speaks on it, though.
Yeah.
He's like, trust me, I know the answer to this.
I saw some funny replies. One said, bro didn't die for real, though. He's still alive. Nobody knows for sure. And then another said, oof, Al, that was your warning. It's not too late to find Jesus.
It's have you ever seen that meme? It's a Twitter interaction. It's this article of Jeff Bezos, and says Jeff Bezos says he plans to donate most of his billions of dollars to charity, and the top comment just says somebody got visited by 3 ghosts last night. It's kind of like what that is. The funny thing is there was a show. It only got 10 episodes before it got canceled. It was on TNT, I believe, back in like 2015, starring Jennifer Beals. It was called Proof. And it was about this doctor who gets hired by a billionaire to find proof of life after death.
Okay.
And I thought it was like a fantastic premise that just never went anywhere because it was on TNT and nobody watched it, except for me. And even I wasn't watching it legally at the time. I was watching it on Tubi.
I don't know much about the subject. I haven't looked into it much, but I know there is a lot of scientific research into it. And a lot of people who have gone through near-death experiences who actually have been pronounced dead were resuscitated and then talked about what they saw, heard, experienced, and it was nothing like what Al Pacino told.
I bet you if you're looking for the funniest and most interesting scientists to bring to parties, it's the ones who end up getting grants to study stuff like this.
Probably.
Like the dude who's like, yeah, sure, I've got a doctorate. I'm a doctor, but I do cool stuff.
Yeah.
I look into life after death.
Yeah.
That seems more interesting to me.
Well, it seems like Al Pacino has other things to worry about because his girlfriend, Noor Al-Falah, who we've talked about on the show before, was recently spotted leaving the Chateau Marmont with Bill Maher.
I did like the meme that says she also dated like Mick Jagger and Al Pacino.
Yes.
And she's like, he's the Kobe Bryant of dating old dudes.
This reply said this woman has also dated Mick Jagger, a couple elderly European billionaires, and Clint Eastwood. While I don't necessarily understand her particular taste in men, you have to acknowledge she's killing it. She's the LeBron James of dating senior citizens. She's the GOAT. She just has a type.
Yeah.
And I know she has a child with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
How old is Al Pacino at this point?
86 or something.
80-something.
He's in his 80s.
He's not going to know his kid as his kid grows up. It's
Nope.
just very sad.
We had that discussion on the show. We talked about the morality of bringing a kid into the world if you know you're not going to be there for the majority of its life.
Yeah, I do think that it's obviously not the ideal.
It's a very kind of interesting thing to talk about.
He had other kids too, right? Like,
I think he's got other kids with other women when he was younger, obviously.
Right.
Like this time he's like, whoa, holy crap, didn't know they still swam.
Well, Noor Al-Fallah is 30, and
Yep.
her type is about 60 years older than that.
I saw a picture the other day of Clint Eastwood on the set of like his most recent movie that he's still directing at 93. Looks like he could outlive anyone on that set. With pure masculinity and rage, he will outlive everyone there.
he looks way better than Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
who they just reel around now. He's like,
Yeah.
like
Unless somebody proves to me he was breathing there, no one can prove to me that he was alive.
His whole life is
His
a
mouth
near-death
was
experience.
hanging open. He's like
he looks like. I mean, I don't know how the man is still alive. He's in hospice. He's been in hospice for like a year and a half.
Hospice is supposed to be like a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I didn't realize this, but you don't necessarily go to hospice when you're like going to die. You go to hospice when you're like, okay, don't do anything to revive me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently he's just like,
Yeah.
can I?
And they're like, not on our
Didn't
one.
say that.
I mean,
I
in
don't
my
think that he
mind-
actually said it, but I
Don't
mean,
send Jimmy Carter to Canada. Is all
in
I'm
my
saying.
mind,
Right.
every day the nurses they get a call from Nancy Pelosi, and she's like, not until November 6th.
like they open that door and they're just like, no shit. Every day they go in there.
So
hey, oh, okay.
Worse than her and Al Pacino is like, what do her and Bill Maher talk about?
Who?
I'm sure she's a very
She
interesting.
dating Bill Maher now?
Well, she was
Cultured
seen
woman.
leaving the Chateau Marmont Hotel with Bill Maher. Like, what do her and Bill Maher get up to when having, a cuddle?
Well, I mean, she's closer in age to Bill Maher than to.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Because Bill's what, 60 something?
So she's like, Bill Maher at least smokes weed. I can smoke weed with Bill Maher.
She's smoking
Right,
the weed.
right.
Like, what
The
do they
devil's
talk
lettuce.
about? I have no idea.
I mean, look, you can be different ages and actually talk about the same things, but I mean, I imagine they're not talking about like pop culture stuff.
That would be funny, though.
No, Bill Maher is super plugged in. He has a podcast.
Okay, so that's a better question. So
He
I
had
can
Bella
see-
Thorne on his podcast.
I can see her talking to Bill Maher. What does she talk about? What does she talk about with Al Pacino?
You have never made a more incredulous expression. I've never seen that
it
from
almost
you
hurt.
before.
I just wanted to make sure I was very
He's in
clear
the
about-
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What does she talk to Al Pacino about?
They talk about secret lives of Mormon wives.
Oh, that's
Which brings us to our next topic. One of the stars of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on Hulu recently spoke to Us Weekly about her marriage, claiming that ketamine is one of the greatest tools that you can use to strengthen your relationship with your spouse.
What
Ketamine.
on earth?
Yeah. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Demi Engeman calls ketamine the biggest tool to strengthen her marriage. And she's actually telling other people that this is great advice.
I have some advice. If the tool you're using to strengthen your marriage has can be an issue of scarcity, like you can only get so much of it, that's a problem.
Thank you, guys.
Like if you can run out of the tool, it's a problem. I have missed this.
Okay, so Demi Engeman has a surprising secret to keep her marriage to Brett Engeman spicy, and it's not the fact that they're in a Mormon polycule.
Plus, he spells his name with one T, so he's imminently
Yeah, that's already a red
untrustworthy.
flag. So she said, ketamine has been the biggest tool I've used to strengthen my relationship. It's next level. Everyone I talk to, they're like, we're kind of struggling and things are getting a bit dull. Go do ketamine with your spouse.
Go do
She
ketamine.
further stressed that she and her husband do not pop Special K, and they get therapy administered by a doctor through an IV. Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic, often used as treatment for depression or pain management.
Also a horse tranquilizer.
Yes, it is.
We've got a 20 from Gordon Shumway. I'm pretty sure she and Bill Maher talk about littering. Wait, what? Littering
Just talk
and
about
littering? And littering?
I like
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, she said it's microdosing. It's the safest form of anesthesia. They use it on kids, small animals to put them down, and it takes you out of your conscious state, and you're able to really diminish your pride and let down your walls and be able to speak heart to heart. Like, I never had deeper conversations in my entire life.
There's a problem with that. There's a huge, I mean, it's funny to laugh at it, but there's a huge problem with that. When you use substances to disassociate and allow those walls to come down, it means that those walls naturally go back up when the substance wears off, which puts an even greater barrier between you and the other person than there would be if the barriers had maintained themselves from the beginning and you just never had that conversation. So imagine you have this deep philosophical conversation that brings you two together on a level that you couldn't even imagine happening elsewhere. But the second that barrier goes back up, and you're not able to communicate or connect without it, it's going to make you resentful towards one another, and it's going to make the relationship even harder to actually grow closer.
We have a 20 from Buzzard. Jack Nicholson did LSD with his wife back in the day. She saw him turn into the devil and divorced him later. I've done LSD and it saved my life, so different strokes, I guess.
Well, the point here is it's I'm not here to judge people on whether they use, these types of drugs. That's not the point. The point is to say when it's used as a means of connecting you to another person, it is almost always universally going to cause problems once you lose access to that chemical.
Yeah, my take is basically if you chose the right person to marry, you can have heart-to-heart conversations and be vulnerable and talk about deep things without taking drugs first.
So one time, or at least, I mean, at this point, I want to at least articulate this. A lot of people forget that, like, just because something is uncomfortable, that it's automatically bad. Like, serious conversations that you need to have are actually mostly uncomfortable. You need to get over that.
The catharsis comes because it was uncomfortable.
And you don't need drugs to do uncomfortable things. If you need drugs to do uncomfortable things, that's probably
you might
not
be
all
an
that
addict.
Great. Well, I mean, I don't know about an addict, but like
if you need drugs to alter your psychological state so that you can do uncomfortable things or talk about uncomfortable subjects, like, that doesn't sound healthy.
It doesn't, but I don't want to say someone's an addict if they've never done drugs. Like, so you're like, okay, they're uncomfortable conversations. Maybe it'll help if I go and do drugs to do it. Maybe it won't. Maybe you should just try and power through it. Like, too many people expect to be comfortable all the time. Being able to withstand discomfort is like a superpower. The more discomfort you can take and still manage to either perform a task or do something with a partner or whatever, the more discomfort you can take, the better off your life is going to be overall. Sure, it's okay if you like want to be comfortable most of the time or whatever, especially in your daily life. Discomfort isn't something that you should always shy away from.
Well, here's the weirder part. She also said that she prefers to do ketamine while her husband is actually in the room but sober. So she wants to be high while he is sober so that they can have these deep conversations and grow closer with each other.
That means that the connection isn't real. It's manufactured. So
hate that,
how he perceives that discussion will be completely different from how you've experienced the discussion. So any growth you think you've made is one-sided.
She said she also convinced one of her co-stars on the show, which, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, it's literally about a bunch of Mormon husbands and wives who ended up wife swapping, and they're in a Mormon polycule. She convinced one of her co-stars to do the same. She said her co-star tells me about her experiences with it, and she's like, I found out why I got divorced. I'm a whole new person. Meanwhile, I was like a cartoon character floating in the clouds, like I was an avatar with a tail.
You found out why?
She felt certain hallucinations too, She stressed to her co-star that she just needed to do more to get deeper. It does spice up your sex life for sure as well.
That's what it's about then for them. I think they're underselling that what it is it makes the sex better. And again, here's the other problem with
Why does it make the sex better though? Like
if what we're saying is that men are physical and women are emotional and women want a strong emotional connection, you know, in regards to sex, that what she's feeling in that moment is twice as emotional as she would feel any other time, right? So the sex feels even more like a connective tissue between the two of them. But the problem is then when you go and you try to have sex without it, it's going to be awful.
Well, these people, obviously, because they're part of a polyamorous arrangement with all these other couples, are constantly coming up with new insane ways to quote unquote spice things up instead of actually growing an intimacy with each other. They're not actually working on their marriage.
Yeah, I hate all
They're
this.
making it actively worse.
This is the same thing that happens. Anybody who's ever, if you've ever used drugs and you've made plans because you're in a good mood, and then you have to go and actually do those plans later, and you're like, I would rather do anything but do this right now, just because I agreed to it when I was in a different mental state. That's exactly what they're doing. They're having deep and meaningful conversations while in an altered mental state. So then imagine you have this conversation about something specific, whatever it is within their relationship. And then he wants to go and address this conversation later. Well, he was clear-headed the whole time. He's ready to have this conversation again. She's not going to be ready to have this conversation again because she's not in the same mental place that she was when she was using the ketamine. This is an awful idea.
You know what else is crazy? They're Mormon. Mormons aren't even allowed to drink coffee, let alone
what's up with
IV ketamine for recreational purposes.
Mainlining ketamine.
That is
to
so
bang.
not kosher in Mormonism. I don't know what kosher is for Mormons, but
Mainlining.
that is so not allowed.
They're literally talking about mainlining to soak.
The worst is, like, I saw something on Instagram for them the other day. The worst type of content there is on social media
Mormon
is
ketamine content.
It's the people who make the videos that are like, somebody said I couldn't do something, so I went and did it. It's just the most gratuitous
It's like,
pat on
who
the
said
back.
brunettes couldn't wear jeans?
Literally that. So there was one of these women, and it said, like, they said we wouldn't get a season 2, and it was like advertising season 2. I'm like, it's Mormon women in a polycule. Of course this was getting a season 2. This is not getting any less than 5 seasons.
This is the whole point of reality TV.
Literally no one said that you weren't going to get a season 2, and if they did, it's your own fault for listening to them.
And people like this are the exact reason why reality TV exists as a genre. You're destroying yourself and all of your relationships for entertainment value. And that's, I mean, easy to market easily.
One of the ways you could pull this back, the things that people have as far as conversations in relation to this type of relationship, is like the amount of men who have used liquid courage to ask someone out, and then they find out later, like, what if they're not that brave without it?
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with people drinking alcohol socially, but if you rely on it to interact with people,
right?
That's a sign that you need to try without for a while and just see how it goes.
All right. Well, who would have known that the Mormon polycule wasn't actually the most adherent to their religion?
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
All right. What would you like to see? We could do Cringe of the Day and Cute of the Day, or I could show you Brainrot. I've got Brainrot.
We can do all three, maybe?
We could do all three. Let's do Brainrot first.
Okay, we'll start with Brainrot.
I found this one the other day, and this one was a new level of hell to me. It's Brainrot Millennial Romance Movie.
Oh.
That's what this is called.
All right.
So here we go.
The Blunkin' Blownuts, what can I goon for you?
Hi.
Whoa, I already
can
hate
get
it.
one Blumpkin Spice Gyate, please? I want it flicker gooning with cream, though. I'm just joking, your Drake. I just want a regular gyatfe, please. Those Bop Femboy Blumpkin Spice Gyates give me the ick.
I'm in Riz. What's your ass?
Skip Yarita goated.
You got it. Skibberita goated.
Dubs in the chat.
What brings a certified D1 bop like you into an old dusty depot like this? You don't look like an Ohio gyat.
Bruh, you're calling me out. I have thunder thighs and a slutty waist, but that's facts. I'm from Tilted Towers. I just dropped into this lobby. I'm edging to a sorority just on the map. Maybe you've gooned there before?
Oh, Alpha Sigma Beta?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah, I've munted over there for their annual TikTok Riz party.
Is it goated?
It can be the Aki way, but you gotta watch out for those theories.
Why?
They'll hobby horse your Drake if you throw it in a rhombus, especially Livy Dunn.
Oh my Sigma, I am not ready to be glazed by a level 10 gyat.
Well, you've got nothing to worry about. You are a level 10 gyat.
Stop, you're literally doing parkour on
Sorry, here. One regular gyat fee.
W.
On the bodega.
Oh, you're doing tricks
Have a
on
W day.
You too.
Oh, and Skibberita goated?
Yeah?
Remember, country girls make do.
I'll keep that in my bussy. Maybe I'll goon you again?
Yeah, I hope so.
I have no idea what hobby horsing means in this context, but
We've talked about.
no, yeah, I know what hobby horsing is, but
yeah.
I don't know what it means in the context of brain rot.
Do you know what this is referencing?
No.
This is why you need to watch Scream Queens.
Okay.
This is literally from the cringiest scene
Okay.
in Scream Queens. It was just like the epitome of bad dialogue.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was. You need to watch it.
Okay. All I'm saying is,
But
like,
it's
so,
like that scene, but he translated it into brainrot language.
so the best part is like, I already was fed infinite brain rot on Instagram, but now that, like, when you save things on Instagram, kind of like how if you bookmark things
Yeah,
on Twitter,
yeah.
it affects what you're shown. It's just 100 times worse now.
Yeah.
Since I started making a brain rot folder. So there you go. Brain rot of the day.
Thank you
ladies
for
and
that.
gentlemen. Yeah, I thought I would.
That was edifying.
There was so many in there that I just have no idea what any of it meant, but it made me laugh.
But
All
you're
right.
here for it.
Cringe or cue to the day?
Phil, what do you say?
Go with Cringe, get out of the way.
All right.
Okay.
Cringe
Perfect.
first.
Here we go. Mary found this one. It says CEO of Scaring the Hose.
Harry,
Hurry away from Hurry.
Newcastle,
Newcastle? Okay. So what is your biggest red flag?
biggest red flag. Women,
Women. Just women in general. Disgraceful.
horrible.
Horrible species.
I'm scared of them.
You're scared of them. Are you scared of me?
Yep.
Yeah, terrified.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were a woman for a day though, what would you do?
I would finger myself.
Okay. Classic. Is there anything else?
I
you
mean,
want
was
to
there any other answer that he was going to give?
Probably squeeze my tits.
Okay. You know, could you not do that now?
I'm joking. I'm joking. It's a joke.
He was not joking. He was not joking.
You got to be careful. You're going to be a woman street interviewer.
He's gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
He should put the booze down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saying like, male street interviewers are sober and have less to worry about than a female street interviewer when there's a bunch of drunk men
Right, yeah.
around than drunk women
Good point.
around. Like,
Yeah.
did you see the meme the other day of the guy with his head hung low? It says like the guy who interviewed Hawk Tuah making millions of dollars after. No,
She's trying to get the rights to that video so they can't make any money off of it now.
that's just rude. What?
Yeah. At least give them the credit for making you famous.
That's kind of bullshit, actually.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna turn into some type of weird corporate raider. She's gonna start.
She has a team now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She has managers.
She did she gets signed on to Kick, and her first stream on Kick was she did like a meet and greet, and the line was like around the fucking
Insane.
block to meet Hawk Tuah.
Insane.
So
Wonder where
that is
she'll be in
like I'm
very
not a fan.
insane.
I'm actually quite annoyed. I'm not a fan of that. Like that's their content.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you've already benefited over it 1,000-fold.
Right.
That's ruthless. All right. Cue to the day. Here we go. Let's get rid of this.
I'm sure everyone in the chat is very happy Cute of the Day is back.
Well, I
Except
am.
one person.
Rico Cantrell says, reposting for Brett Dasovic, PCC Pets. Rocky is my illegal from Rocky Point, Mexico. He's always been down to chase the ball or eat some pepperoni.
It's an undocumented dog.
Undocumented.
He's an undocumented immigrant. Cute.
Very cute. And we will do one
Certified
more.
cute.
Bookstore Thor says,
Aw.
Willie still living his best life. Willie looks very happy.
So cute.
Very happy. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started then. Is Piers Morgan shaking in his boots?
Well, last week we talked about an interview that Piers Morgan did with a singer named Jaguar Wright. And in that interview, she made a huge amount of explosive allegations at not only P. Diddy, but also Beyonce and Jay-Z and other artists who have been allegedly involved in his criminal activity. And we talked about a conspiracy theory that's been spreading like wildfire that has kind of turned into a meme, stating that Beyonce is actually a serial killer who is responsible for the deaths of Tupac, Aaliyah, Michael Jackson.
She literally went back in time.
She also did 9/11, allegedly. She sunk the Titanic, etc. Ocean Gate was her fault. But anyway, after this interview with Jaguar Wright, we were kind of shocked at what she said. And she said she's not afraid of a lawsuit. She's not afraid of getting sued for defamation because she knows that everything she's saying has proof, and she is very confident that she would win in that situation. However, Piers Morgan,
she understands like how easy it would be for someone with as much money as Beyonce to just.
Well, no, she literally, Jaguar Wright is claiming that she has multiple victims ready to testify against Beyonce and Jay-Z, and that she has access to more Diddy tapes that incriminate all of these public figures. But Piers Morgan during that interview was like, well, they're not here to push back on what you're saying. We don't know their side of the story. He was very clear that he wasn't just straight out believing everything she said. However, Beyonce and Jay-Z's lawyers issued a cease and desist to Piers Morgan after that interview came out. So he had to issue this groveling public apology to both of them. And here's the video.
We got the video here. Hold on. Here we go. This one right here? Mm-hmm. All right.
Think about platforms. The reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar Wright unexpectedly made several serious...
What did he... Jaguar... How did
he said Jaguar.
...allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored.
He had to address the elephant in the room, that it literally says #uncensored down at the bottom.
But like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. We apologise to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
There's no prohibition on yelling fire in a crowded theatre.
Yeah. So Piers Morgan Uncensored got very much censored by Beyonce and Jay-Z's legal team.
My point was more that Jaguar Wright doesn't really understand that when you have as much money as Beyonce and Jay-Z do, the law doesn't, right and wrong doesn't really matter. They can use the law against them.
Sure.
Meaning that, so she's got 50 people ready to testify. They have the money to buy off 50 people if they so wanted to do so. Pay for their silence.
Right, yeah.
Like, it actually doesn't really play much of a role in it. Like, it's kind of that fanciful idea that right and wrong, good always triumphs, when we always know that that's not necessarily the truth.
But what is strange and conspicuous about this is that Jaguar Wright was speaking out about Diddy long before he was ever part of the public conversation in 2022. She was talking about Diddy's criminality in 2022, before the Cassie lawsuit, before any of this came out, before the Rodney Jones allegations. So she's way ahead of the game in that regard. And I don't see that Diddy ever took legal action against her, because I'm sure himself and his own lawyers were aware that he had a lot of secrets to hide. And now Diddy's mother has made a public statement in regard to all of the allegations he's facing right now. Janice Small Combs released a statement to The Hollywood Reporter saying, "It's heartbreaking to see my son judged not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of lies. to bear witness to what seems to be like a public lynching of my son before he has had the opportunity to prove his innocence is a pain too unbearable to put into words. Like every human being, my son deserves to have his day in court, to finally share his side and to prove his innocence.
I mean, it's actually not his job to prove his innocence. It's their job to prove his guilt. That's the interesting part here.
Yeah, but that's...
Yeah.
But also, there's been a lot of conflation. I saw Colonel Kurtz was mentioning this. She goes, look, a bunch of adults doing a bunch of drugs with baby oil and having sex doesn't really interest me. Coercion and and crimes against underage people, that would be what she's worried about, right? It's not about what Diddy did with a bunch of adults who chose to be there. But
Well, now
it's all getting lumped together.
He has several people accusing him of assaulting them when they were children.
Yeah, so that's
one
the
as young
claims-
as 9 years old, allegedly, when the crime took place.
But there's also these claims that are being made by other people that are of age, and it's all getting lumped together when the focus should be on the crimes against minors and the acts of coercion, not just a bunch of... Because, a lot of celebrities are like, look, I was at those parties, and nothing happened. Well, you don't know that. They don't know that, but it all kind of blends together because it's too it's too enticing for the media companies to not run with these stories, even if it obfuscates the actual things that they should be focusing on.
Yeah,
Right?
and when we published our video about Justin Bieber's Yummy music video and the theories that were going around about was Justin Bieber trying to send us a secret message about Diddy back in I guess this was 2020.
There were a lot of people sending messages about P. Diddy. Cat Williams did a bit on P. Diddy,
Yeah, and when we published that video, we were kind of laughing about some of the memes, and people in the comments were like, how dare you make light of this situation when you know what Justin has gone through? And we're like, we don't know what Justin has gone through, or if he has gone through anything. We have
People
no
were so
idea.
Okay, so when we covered that topic, because I didn't look into you did all the research for that one on like what the music video meant, and I just went into it like, yeah, I don't know, and people got really mad because I was like, look, I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with just admitting that you don't know.
Yeah, like I was like, look, I don't know, and it's very, very easy to be persuaded into taking a really, really strong moral stance on something when the crimes are heinous. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know. And a lot of people don't know. There certainly was a lot of evidence in that music video that seemed too conspicuous to be just there by accident.
Just at one point about what you said, when people take a strong moral stance about something that's heinous, they're not taking a stance against the person, they're taking a stance against the actual action. They probably say something, they will act as if it's the person, but they're actually just talking about like the thing that happened, It's
not about Diddy as an individual, but about the idea, which definitely deserves more merit, that child abuse and abuse in general is rampant in the entertainment industry as a whole. And that's a topic that deserves more investigation and more coverage and more public interest for sure. But the amount of language that I see, like, it's all getting exposed. The reason why it's not all getting exposed is very much clear here. Yeah. It's too many voices at once.
Yeah, well, exactly. And as we know, very likely Diddy ends up being the fall guy of much, much more, maybe not more famous, but much, much more powerful, evil people who will never see the inside of a courtroom. Still waiting on those Epstein.
That's another reason to vote
names.
for Trump.
Yep.
Yeah. Still waiting on that.
I was also thinking about it the other day, is like how easy it would be to start smearing people. Like if the government wanted to just put names on there, like. You could just destroy your political enemies because nobody cares whether it's true or not. All they care is like nothing matters anymore. And I don't mean this lightly. Like people just want to repost whatever agrees with their worldview, and they don't really, really care whether it's true or not.
This
most
came
of the
up
time.
yesterday when we were talking about dead internet theory, and Kellen made a really great point. where he said, it's not just that bots are increasingly manipulating our online conversations, it's also that human beings are adapting to behave more like robots online, with NPC tendencies, repeating the same catchphrases, reposting engagement bait posts, and it's sort of getting to a point where you can't distinguish the two because robots are getting better at imitating human beings and human beings are unfortunately imitating robots.
You know what my favorite one is recently? There's a meme that goes around every Halloween, and I do mean every Halloween, that says, not to freak anyone out, but Halloween is on Friday the 13th for the first time in 666 years this year. And all you have to do is like 2 seconds of thinking to know that that is not true. But it gets reposted every year by tons and tons of people. It's just pushing forward for whatever reason. I mean, that's just more of an anarchistic, just freak people out to freak them out, even though it doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
But you can take that same approach to political and social issues and make a lot of inroads into people's minds by just posting meaningless slop.
And one more thing I'll say about Diddy is another thing we covered on the channel was an alleged memoir written by Kim Porter.
That got taken down, right?
Yeah, that got taken down off of Amazon bookstore because it couldn't be confirmed one way or another whether it was actually written by Kim Porter, who was the former spouse and mother of Diddy's children. She, I mean, it's still alleged that these were her diary writings, but there was no confirmation one way or the other. And people took allegations made from that alleged memoir, started reposting them all over Twitter, and people just kind of take it as fact. So let's read some super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, happy thrashing Thursday, Mary and Phil. Who's the new guy? I'm sorry for turning you into the Noid, Brett, but it's good to have you back. Let's go.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Andrew Jacobs said, welcome back, Brett, and belated welcome back, Phil.
Cheers. Thank you.
Who do you think is better at like noticing bots online, men or women? I was thinking about it. Any man who's had a Facebook for any length of time has had to deal with the fake women that try to add them as friends on Facebook, and you're like, that person's not that's not a real person that's adding me on Facebook.
I would default with men because they're better at everything.
Well, we did talk about some women who got scammed by fake Brad Pitt the other day, so.
Okay, so
literally they gave this scam artist hundreds of thousands of dollars thinking that it was Brad Pitt.
Goodness.
I do want to. I would love to somebody to do a study, make a fake Brad Pitt profile and a fake Megan Fox profile, disseminate it to the opposite genders, and see who falls for it more.
Yeah, honeypot experiment. Yep. High Voltage 75 said, welcome back, Bretto. How was the honeymoon?
There was no honeymoon, but it was as good of a trip as a trip like that can be. So
Scooter said, yippee, Brett returns. This will make dried bio-waste day, courtesy of the Detroit wastewater treatment facility at the landfill across the road, semi-bearable.
That is the strongest compliment anyone's ever given me.
Wow.
If I can make your day around bio-waste better, then go with God, my friend.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Let's do one more.
Potatoes for Seamus said, congratulations on getting married, Brett Dasovic.
These fake news rumors need to stop. We're going to have to censor people if we're going to become Piers Morgan censored, just like, over there. Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact.
Yeah, so in the wake of Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton, Taylor Swift just donated $5 million of her massive fortune to help victims of these disasters. The Feeding America Foundation released a statement saying, we're incredibly grateful to Taylor Swift for her generous $5 million donation to Hurricane Helene and Milton relief efforts. This contribution will help communities rebuild and recover, providing essential food, clean water, and supplies to people affected by these devastating storms. Together, we can make a real impact in supporting families as they navigate the challenges ahead. Thank you, Taylor, for standing with us in the movement to end hunger and for helping communities in need. Now, I don't know how anyone in their right mind could spin that to be something negative about Taylor Swift. We're not known for glazing Taylor Swift on this show, but this is obviously a good thing. It's Brainrot slang.
Yeah, I know.
This is obviously a good thing that she's done, right? And,
yes.
I don't know how you could see this as a negative thing, but some Twitter leftists actually did.
Oh, I know exactly how this
Yeah.
happens. It's a bunch of weird Marxists who are just anyone outside of America good, America bad.
So first of all, they're mad that she didn't donate the same amount of money to Palestine relief. One said proof that Taylor Swift
is
does
just-
not, or proof that Taylor Swift has the capacity to help those who are in need, by the way, and she is still silent about Palestine.
When there's a genocide going on in Gaza.
She should remain silent about Palestine because that's not her country.
Yeah.
No, I said to Mary before the show, I said, I love the idea that Taylor Swift has basically become as powerful as the U.S. government. You give aid to Palestine, you perform concerts in Israel, you fund both sides of the war, and somehow you come out on top.
Yeah. Another one said, proving Taylor Swift is capable of supporting people when they're in need. So where is this energy for Palestine? She has more than enough money to donate to them, and there has been nothing, not even a mention of it.
You know what this is? This is the natural conclusion of the jealousy that people feel towards rich people, meaning that they want to tell you how to spend your money.
And it's also leftists for sure.
No,
so
yes, exactly. So what it is like, doesn't matter how much you give, you should have given more. Oddly enough, they never hold the U.S. government to the same standard as they seem to hold celebrities, which is why I don't even blame celebrities for not giving anything. Like, why give
or not making statements
when you're going to be criticized for whatever you do? Oh, you gave $3 million? Oh, you should have given 5. Oh, you gave $5 million? You should have given 10. It's never enough for anyone. There is no end in sight for any of this type of activism.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose. I think if Taylor Swift's heart is really in the causes she supports with her money, might as well just donate under a pseudonym at this point so that people don't try to flame you.
And I was reading beforehand, like last week, that every time she does a show, she gives money to local homeless shelters.
I didn't know that.
So she, like, to food banks and homeless shelters. So she gives millions of dollars to all of these local charities. Like, so there was a company in the UK that had released a statement on this, that she gives a lot of monies whenever she's in town for a show, and she doesn't get the same recognition for that as she does for something like this. She probably likes it that way. Right? Like, so I was looking at this. If you look up, I looked up Hurricane Milton donations, and all 3 pages were about Taylor Swift. There was one mention of Tom Brady, but the rest are about her. I'm sure other celebrities have given money as well, but the thing is like, sure, you get a lot of praise for that, but then you get that same pushback. And to her credit, she's doing it knowing that she's kind of courted a fan base that's going to have at least a subset of it that's critical of it.
Yeah, well, she donated to the wrong cause because it's not partisan.
Yeah.
So it's not fashionable, it's not trendy. It doesn't place her on one political side or the other.
See, I
hate all of that stuff. You have to donate to who we want and blah blah blah. It is exhausting because the people that are complaining are completely detached from the actual situation. They have no idea. They just know that it's supposed to be. The left is a cancer in this society today. It's exhausting.
It's just a bunch of have-nots telling the haves how to live.
Well, I saw a TikTok once that asked, like, drop in the comments what you would do if you became a billionaire tomorrow. And all of the comments were like, I would buy a PS5 and I would go on a shopping spree on Shein and Temu. And I'm like, this is why you're not a billionaire, because you're stupid.
It's the same people who repost the GIF that says, if I was Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos could just be Batman.
Yeah.
He got $1 billion. He could just be Batman. Like, not understanding that most of his wealth isn't in liquid capital anyways, and selling off massive shares of his stock would debilitate the company if he did that. And here's the thing. I'm a dummy. I know just enough to know that I'm a dummy, but I'm a dummy, okay? I understand that. But what's worse is somebody who's even dumber than me having the moral outrage of someone who should be 10 times smarter.
Right.
That's awful.
Another response said she can donate to that in a blink of an eye, but ignores the children dying in Gaza. And it's not just that she didn't donate to Palestine. It's also that some people feel Taylor Swift didn't donate enough to the hurricane relief. So one person said, for reference, this is the equivalent of me, a teacher, donating 5 cents. So let's not act like she's making a sacrifice.
See what I mean? Exactly. Like,
people are awful.
So they calculated what percentage of Taylor Swift's net worth is $5 million. I guess for me on my teacher's salary, it would be the equivalent of 5 cents. Okay, it's not equivalent in the effect that it has for the people that are being helped. That's the point.
I mean, I also, like, people were saying the same thing when Logan Paul, he donated a bunch of Prime to hurricane victims, and people were making fun of him. Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. I get
Probably
it.
Nothing except, like, complain about what rich people are doing on Twitter.
It did make me laugh. It was like, imagine you just survived a hurricane and somebody hands you a Prime. That did make me laugh.
It's just people. It's just people being mad that they're rich. Right. That's at the end of the day, the reason that they're even commenting on it is because these are rich people and they're like, if I had that money, I would know what to do with it better. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually would know what to do with it better, like, you might actually have that money. Yep. You don't have that money because you're a complete moron.
It's like when people repost the idea that if we took all the money, got rid of it, and we gave everybody $5,000 starting capital, the same people who are rich now would end up rich again.
So this is just a case in point, right? Like, everyone loves to say, oh, you know, you should give all this money away or give money to blah, 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 and we should get rid of rich people. When they doled out a boatload of money to everybody during COVID, all that money went to the rich people. The reason is because the people that don't have money are taking that money and using it to buy the things they need. Who owns the things that they need? Who owns the companies that have the things they need? Rich people. Mm-hmm. So you can't just give people money and expect not to go to the rich people, because the rich people own the things that the poor people and the middle class people are they own the stores that they're gonna go to buy the things they need. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just, like, economies don't work the way that your idiot friend that makes, you know, minimum wage thinks it does.
I also can't feel a whole bunch of sympathy because this is her audience. This is her fan base, and it's going to come with it.
It's a subset of her chronically online fan base. But most of them are normies who don't speak like this.
But it's an extension of a female fan base that falls heavily into the category of wanting to help.
We have a 20 from... what is this? Kitra? Kitra? The Daily Mail published an article today condemning an old classmate of mine who's tweeted praise about Trump's help for the hurricane in Florida. Wonderful, God-loving, selfless woman, football husband, and her have 2 kids.
Good for them. And I don't know why the Daily Mail would publish that.
Yeah.
Daily Mail is usually pretty good about staying neutral.
So has Trump donated to Hurricane Milton funds?
There was
because I saw responses that were like, "Oh yeah, Taylor Swift donated this much, but Trump's greedy ass didn't."
He also let people stay at his hotel. He was letting veterans stay at his hotel, I think, while this was going on. I saw something about that.
I don't know if it was veterans. I think it was actually aid workers.
Okay, that's what I mean. Yeah, but yeah, well, you know. But again, everyone wants to tell everyone else what to do and how to help from their computer.
Yeah, one person said Taylor Swift could literally cure cancer and people would yell at her for not curing all the other diseases.
Yep.
That's the situation you end up in.
Which is why I maintain that the internet should have stopped being advanced and just up until we got them on our phones.
She has a fan base who believe that billionaires are evil, so they are in a state of cognitive dissonance where they have to reconcile the idea that this woman they idolize is a billionaire, and it's because of people like them. So they have to come up with reasons why she's actually she's the pick-me billionaire. She's the good one. Well, she's one of the good ones.
That's what they say about Elon Musk. He's the I'm not like most girls of billionaires.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's read some more super chats. Pop Culture Junkie said gynocracy. Sorry, Phil, I'm stealing that.
It's
a good word.
Welcome to.
It's a useful word. Greg Duvier said, so do I get cute of the day so I can keep confirming my bias that I have the cutest cats? But Mocha might be cuter than mine. New photo to clarify. Well, I'm sure you'll be in cute of the day at some point soon.
I hope to have gotten them all. I had to send a bunch of them back and forth to myself while I was out of town, but I think I got most of them. Also, we should let people know, I'm not sure if we're going to do it tomorrow, but I do want everyone, if you are part of the Timcast Discord, to go and add to the PCC messages, the voicemail, and I would ask you to refrain from posting stuff other than voicemails because it makes it hard to sift through.
I was shouting out the Discord earlier this week because I thought we were going to listen to some voicemails today. I was wrong about that, but we're gonna save it for a different episode. Don't worry.
But I would like. There's a couple on there right now, but we're gonna let them build up. Looks like we've got 3, 4. I mean, we could do it today. It's under PCC calls.
If we have some extra time later on, Sir MIB said, "Howdy do, bread and marmalade, talent terrorist."
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Our favorite talent terrorist.
Bread and marmalade.
I like those ones. That's a good one. It's better than
Shane
bread
H.
with one
Wilder,
T.
Pick one, the long house or the short bus. I picked the short bus.
I would much rather be on the short bus.
Let's do one more.
Corey Anderson said, Phil, what is the hardest part of owning a brand?
I never really thought of it.
Do they mean in relation to your music?
Yeah, I think they're talking about all that remains.
Thank you.
And thank you. Yeah, considering it's a band, and part of my brand is like not being PC and not being woke and stuff, it's not all that hard. Like
you don't have to like keep your mouth shut on the court.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
part of your brand to not keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess
It's a nice situation.
it is. You know,
I imagine
mean,
there's at least a couple of actors out there who would love to be more vocal, but just don't because it would hurt their career.
I mean, I do think that it's likely that there have been opportunities that I did not get because of the fact that I'm vocal about things, especially, you know, not so much lately, but, you know, in like 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, things were, you know, it was like, whoa.
Before you could have gotten a sponsorship from Patriot Dirt.
Yeah, right.
I bet DC often thinks, how did we strike out with, first off, what's his name?
You'd have
The
to
non-binary actor.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller,
Yeah.
Rachel Zegler, and Zachary Levi, who all for their own reasons are incredibly toxic to public perception.
I mean, Zachary Levi wasn't really, and he was already done
his-
with Shazam before.
for his endorsement of Trump, though.
Yeah, but Shazam was long gone,
Yeah.
done by the time that came out.
Maybe that
So
was
that's-
strategic.
But even The Rock, who did Black Adam, then went this year and said, "I'm not endorsing anyone," because he endorsed Biden in 2020. You know.
Solid choice to
But
keep your mouth shut.
Ezra Miller, yeah, they definitely have had better luck. And then, but that's not the only thing. Think about now. With Gal Gadot, there would be a subset of people who would be complaining because she's Israeli.
Oh,
If
right.
she
That's
was
another
still-
one.
Of course.
If she was still making movies, there's still, from what I've heard, Marvel is doing Sabra in Captain America: Brave New World, and they've completely removed the character's Israeli background. It's no longer
So
a member.
weird, because
she's
that's
no
the
longer a
entire
member
point of the
Mossad.
character. Whatever. Okay, what was the next one? Art Jokia said, this is a bribe to not show pet videos.
Too bad.
$10 is not going to be enough. Sorry.
Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact.
All right. So, an adult entertainer / OnlyFans model from Australia recently made headlines because she is on a mission to hook up with as many strangers as possible within the span of a year. So back in 2023, her project was to hook up with at least 300 people. She achieved that goal, and now her next goal for the current year is to hook up with 600 people in 2024. She says she's currently at 480 hookups.
I thought she wanted to hit 480.
Nope, she's already most of the
she's
way there.
Going to 600. Okay.
She's gotten to 480 people within the year of 2024, so she has 120 left to make it to New Year's Eve. Her name is Annie Knight. I know she has been talked about on this show before because I think she was actually the victim of some kind of blackmail campaign with some of her videos in the past. She's clearly very concerned about safety.
It's a science experiment going on down there.
But she claims it's not just anyone that she's hooking up with. This is actually a very detailed process. You have to send in an application where you answer all of her questions before she can select you to be one of the lucky few that gets to hook up with her.
Here's the funny part about it. My initial response the first time this came around is, I can't impress upon you how much of a not accomplishment it is for a woman to sleep with that many men.
It literally means
Okay.
nothing.
My point here is, like, for a man, it's impressive to sleep with 600 people. For a woman to make it some type of accomplishment, it had to involve paperwork that she had to get through. So to get through 600 applications is an impressive feat.
It's disgusting no matter whether it's a man or a woman, but at least for a man, if a man slept with 600 people in a year, you would expect there was some convincing involved.
Yes, there had to
right?
be.
That you had to
Not
be someone
expect,
that
there
women
is.
want to have sex with. On the other hand, with this OnlyFans model, she has thousands upon thousands of men who follow her on social media, but also pay to see her naked and would just like send in an application for her consideration, have the privilege of having sex with her.
I better find out later that she didn't pawn off the application process on some type of intern. She better have done this
probably
herself.
did. She said, I'm very picky. I have an application system. So I was curious what kind of questions are on this application. And I looked into it and found here were the questions. She asks, how old are you? Where do you live? City and country. Would you be willing to get tested prior for STDs? That's a good choice. Would you let me film it and sell it on my platforms without your face visible? What's your favorite position? What do you do for work? What's your favorite, how tall are you? Your Instagram @ and anything else I should know about you.
Even a woman who sleeps with 600 dudes is still going to hit you with the height requirement.
I don't understand
She's
why.
picky. She has high standards.
I don't understand why dudes do that.
You're asking for you're asking for an STD. Like there's
She gonna hit you with the I won't use STD.
It's not
because
just
it's
that,
degrading.
but it's like there's got to be something really spiritually degrading about being Eskimo bros with like literally thousands of people, thousands. And she, by the way, this girl is only 26 years old, and she has now slept with, I'm guessing, thousands of men. And I just think this is such unhinged behavior that you honestly, in a sane world, would be placed in a loony bin for behaving this way. You are so self-destructive that someone should protect you from yourself and lock you up and put a chastity belt on you. This is the level of insanity we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, for your own good, you should be locked away from the rest of society for behaving like this.
I don't know. I think it's a good thing for people out there to see this and just be like, well, now I know the bottom of this is where I'm not going.
But here's the thing. She's not just publicizing this as her own personal mission. Of course, it's also marketing for her OnlyFans too. But she's also claiming that this is a social cause. Hear me out.
What did I say earlier about how everything is marketed as some type of social cause earlier? Remember? I said that?
Yes.
Even a woman's petri dish vagina is a social cause.
Petri dish. After claiming to have slept with 300 men in 2023, Annie Knight also decided to up the ante for next year and double her astounding record to 600. She said, being in the adult entertainment industry has highlighted to me the amount of judgment women receive just for having a sexual appetite. She added that she hopes to break the stigma around women enjoying casual sex. Quote, I literally behave the same way as a lot of men out there in the world, but I'm judged for what I do. It's ridiculous. There are not a lot of men who sleep with thousands of random women that they've never met.
There are no men that do that.
I'm sure there are exceptions, but she's acting like this is how every man behaves.
Also, it's gaslighting.
Okay, so hold on. There a lot more men would behave that way if they could than actually can.
She's literally living the dream life that every man has imagined they would live if they were a woman.
It's the Bill Burr skit about, he goes, every man in here was programmed to sleep with 80 of the women in this room, but they won't sleep with the guy who works at Home Depot because whores don't care about lumber.
We have another 20 from Damage Controlling. Anyone else constantly getting those annoying Gaza ads saying, please don't skip at the start of an ad is a 100% guaranteed way to make sure I skip your ad.
Yep.
Yeah, I have seen some of those on YouTube for sure. But she has now been dubbed Australia's most promiscuous woman, which is quite the title. Yep. And she's proud of it. And this is her pledge.
It's... reread the last part of what she was saying again about how she's making it about people judging women. This has been going on since the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, when the music started getting made about independent women and, hey, I can be just like a guy. Fact of the matter is, men and women are different. Men and women have different challenges in life. Men have far more of a challenge to find people to have sex with them than women. A woman can go to a bar on any... I know this sounds red pillish. It's not meant to be. It's just a truth of the world. A woman can go to a bar on any given day and pick up as many men as she wanted to, if she wanted to. A dude cannot do that.
And it says nothing of her value. It says nothing of how attractive she actually is to men. It just means she's the one who's available at the moment. And it's so sad. For that reason, it's so sad to me that some women are under the delusion that they need to have sex with men to make them love, like to make a man love them. Because nothing could be further from the truth.
It's also this ridiculous idea that her supposed social cause has no way of proving. Like, is the idea that she will stop sleeping with 600 men a year when there's never once again written an article about how women are judged differently than men about when it comes to sex?
Until everyone celebrates her for her disgusting behavior, then it will be fine. Then all the work will be done. But until then, I'm sure she's going to up the ante, sleep with 1,200 men in 2025. Just keep doubling it. And eventually she'll just be a human semen receptacle. And that's what she aspires to be. And this is feminist.
In the name of equality.
Yeah. In the name of breaking the stigma, whatever the hell that means. And she also, in a different interview, talked about her own mother's response. Apparently, her mother is proud.
I knew it.
Huh.
I just knew it. Does she have a dad?
Don't know about her dad, though. Didn't hear anything about her dad. The 26-year-old said that she broke the news to her mother, Karen, who offered an unexpectedly empowering response. Her mother said, "You know what you're doing. Perhaps you're trying to show that a woman can have control of what she does in her life." This is not a person who is in control. No. This is a person who is completely out of control and off the rails and needs to be stopped.
Also, if it goes bad, she will not be held responsible for the bad choices that she makes.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And she said not everyone is supportive of her behavior. I've had very mixed reactions. Some people have been super supportive. And then I've had the majority of people judging me, saying that I'm riddled with STIs, that I'm not safe and that I'm disgusting. I'm very safe because obviously with my work, I have to be. You can only film with creators when you're clean. We do full checks every 2 weeks and practice using protection. And you can, wait, what is this rest of this quote? It was something about what's the difference between a man sleeping with 5 people in a day and a woman sleeping with 5 people in a day?
Because it would be way harder for a dude to convince 5 women to sleep with him than it would be for a woman to convince 5 dudes to dump a load in her. Everyone knows that.
She said, I don't understand why when a man does it, they celebrate it and call him a legend. But when a woman does it, we're called names and ridiculed. It's just not fair.
What it actually does is prove to you that you don't actually like one of the best things about women, which should be that you would be the more discerning gender when it comes to sex. It's a compliment to say that you hold yourself to a higher standard, that you won't just sleep with anybody who comes your way.
Even if you explained this to her,
she wouldn't understand.
The most logical way possible, she wouldn't understand because this woman is clinically insane. Like, this is a person who needs to be locked up in a loony bin in a straitjacket and a chastity belt. I'm so serious. Stop her from destroying her own life. In fact, she could end up dead because of this. Seriously, you don't know who follows you online, the type of people that you attract, and the type of people who are sending in, who are insane enough to send in an application to participate in this,
I like the idea
you could end up getting murdered.
Of her making a video where she's like, I had no idea how to use Microsoft Excel, but then I had to start my spreadsheet of all the men.
It's so... That's so disgusting.
I can't think of an analog to the contrary for men. Something that would be really easy for men to do, but then would brag about it.
Okay, something men are judged for, but women aren't.
But would come really easy to them. I can't think of an analog to it. If somebody can think of one in the chat, I can't think of it.
Yeah, send us your ideas, but I can't.
Avoiding accountability?
So the idea is like, for a woman could do this without a problem, but says that she's judged for it, but not understanding that when men do it, it's actually an accomplishment. What's something that men can do very easily, but would be judged for, but is very easy for? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if there's really an equivalent when you switch it around.
I can't think of it.
Yeah.
It would have to be very difficult for a woman to do, very easy for a man to do, but the man would want credit for doing it.
Well, I did see a video of this girl, Annie Knight, on women being awful. One of the gimmick accounts on X. We should share.
So here we go.
So my body count is 500, and it got me thinking, what is the average person's? Like,
I'd be right up there with you, girl, except my dad kept saying this stupid phrase throughout my childhood. It was so redundant. What was it? Oh, I love you.
I loved. I saw this one the other day. It went a different direction where it was the quote from the woman. It's like, you should have 5 to 7 dudes on your roster paying your bills.
On your roster.
And it cuts to this girl who she's like, I thought it was going to be one of the ones where she talks about having a husband. She's like, I've got this one dude. I call him boss, and he paid. I don't even have to come in that much, a couple hours a day, and he pays me, and I pay all my bills myself.
Yeah, what a profound idea.
All right.
Okay, let's read some of these super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, from Master Chief to Massive Chief. I mean, he was already massive, but in the right way.
Yeah.
Tao said, how long until Kratos gets the dad bod treatment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, hopefully never. I forget what game he is. God of War?
Gears of War?
No, Gears of War is it's God of War.
I just want to go back to the other thing that
You're still stuck on
I'm
it?
still kind of stuck on it. Like, how long until, how old is she?
26.
So, give or take 4 years, she'll hit 30, and she will then be mad at men for not wanting to marry her.
She will?
She will. She'll be like, nobody wants to marry me. Why are you being so judgmental?
Because they're insecure. Because
you're insecure.
Yeah, they're insecure and they have fragile masculinity, right? Andrew Jacobs said, put a derp on. Has anybody said that yet? Hi, Mary.
We're not putting a derp on.
Corey Anderson said, make another Bioshock.
Bioshock was really good.
High Voltage 75 said, Mary, don't game, but how know all about Last of Us 2? Every time we've talked about Last of Us, I've said I watched playthroughs, like of the full, both of the games in full. So that's how I know about the storyline, but I never played it myself. Bombshus said, you gotta unlock inclement weather before you can talk Halo. I don't know what that means. Corey Anderson said Jimmy Carter is Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas.
I want proof that Jimmy Carter is actually still alive, because none of those videos proved anything to me.
Yeah, it's giving Weekend at Bernie's.
All right, let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder, I think, was the next one. Yep. When Eastwood made the mule, they had make him up to make him seem like a decrepit old man. People said offset he acted like he was a man in his 50s.
Yep. Dude is awesome.
He's young at heart.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back.
All right. Recently, a Trump supporter sabotaged a speed dating event for Democrats called Date a Dem. And there was a lot of discourse about this on Twitter. Some people said it was hilarious. Others didn't take it so well and said that he shouldn't be trying to sabotage their dating lives just because of their political views. We'll get into it. So a Trump supporter sabotaged a Manhattan dating event for Democrats by buying a bunch of tickets and then no-showing, leaving love-seeking lefties out of luck.
We were talking beforehand about how much that writer must have loved writing
They
that.
need a raise.
Yes.
The facilitator of the dating event got a phone call from a blocked number shortly before the event, which was held in Chelsea on September 18th. Apparently the same day as Trump's rally in Long Island. I don't know if that was on purpose. The former organizer of the event said the gist of what was said on the phone by this individual was, F your snowflake event, we're not coming, we're all at the Trump rally. She runs Single in the City. Apparently this person bought several tickets for men.
Yeah.
So it turned out that there were 2 men who showed up and like 10 Democrat women. This guy said, when I got there, it was just me, one other guy, and about 10 women. And I'm like, he did you a favor.
Yep.
That means that you're slim pickings and all of the women are going to be all over you, right? You should be thanking this guy, whoever he is.
Scarcity.
The hopeful singles were stunned at the situation. One said, we shook our heads and said, how polarized are we that someone would do something this unhinged? We just sat in a circle and basically had a little discussion, things about what people's experiences were dating and what they were looking for.
Well, somebody did just try to kill the other guy, so
why are we so polarized?
Polarizing might be a little bit of an understatement there, is all I'm saying.
But I want to get into more details about this event. So this woman who runs Single in the City, she does events for all sorts of people. She doesn't just hold events for left-leaning people. She also held a GOP speed dating event. She also did an event for first responders as well, because, you know, a lot of women wanted to date firefighters or police officers.
They all come there to
or
get their calendar
EMTs.
signed.
Yeah, exactly. They're nicknames for women who are into dating cops.
Badge bunnies.
Exactly. That was what that event was for. So the Date a Dem event is described here. Tired of swiping left on profiles that scream MAGA? Our Date a Dem speed dating event is where progressive hearts collide faster than a presidential ticket change.
See, isn't that making the Dems synonymous with just progressivism? What about is there like a classical liberal loving liberals where you just have classical liberals at a dating event?
You're going to have to pitch that idea to her. This says, now fans of social and economic equality, formerly riding with Biden and super psyched for Camelot, can register for our Date a Dem event. Who? Socially conscious, never Trump singles, aged 25 to 39, who would rather discuss tax reform than their exes. What? A politically charged speed dating experience where single voters will meet up to 15 single Dems in one evening over 3 to 5 minute speed dates and receive mutual matches the same evening. And why? Because nothing says romance like a shared disdain for Fox News, quote unquote, and Tucker Carlson. You're bonding over your hatred for Tucker Carlson with your future husband or wife.
I'm not going to lie right now. There is the possibility for Alex Stein to do the funniest thing on planet Earth right now.
He needs to do it.
He really does.
Alex Stein needs to go to Date a Dem.
Somebody send this to Alex Stein, please.
Absolutely.
And tell him to go to the next Date a Dem.
Well, he should go to both.
Yes.
So I went and found the GOP speed dating event as well, also held in Manhattan. This says, in today's political climate, shared values are the cornerstone of a strong connection. Our GOP Repub Romance dating event invites MAGA hearts to unite over cocktails and conversation with potential partners on the same page politically. For connections faster than fake news, we invite right-wing singles to don their best American flag pins, polish their patriotic pickup lines, and prepare to meet their Republican Romeos and Juliets, who are all about making dating great again. No debates about border security, gun control, the environment, or the reversal of Roe v. Wade. Just straight-up patriotism.
I feel like it's all like cancer.
Props to the unscrupulous businesswoman who's just like, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you. Yeah, that's capitalism.
I'm all for finding someone that shares your values to date. I think that you should. I think that it's probably a bad idea, especially for men, to date women that have, if you're a fairly conservative dude, or even a dude that's just a little right of center, don't date a feminist, like an actual feminist. It's going to go terribly for you. But otherwise, like, don't go to maybe it would work. I don't know, but I feel like going specifically to a political thing. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more in life than politics.
It's depressing.
Do you think it attracts crazies by its own nature?
Yeah, probably yes. I mean, honestly, I would say it's probably better to go if you are on the right and a religious person. It's probably better to go to church.
Sponsored by Patriot Lube.
But
oh man, I really hope that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, given that this is held in New York City, I thought, in New York City, you're not going to have any trouble meeting another left-wing person to date, because that's literally everyone there.
Go to the artisanal pickle shop.
Yeah.
There's plenty of Dems there.
Yeah, so you have to be really extreme on the left to need to go to this event specifically. But the founder of the event said, we figured it's probably due to Republicans having a harder time meeting like-minded singles in NYC. So this event theme is really appealing to them. They have much higher attendance at the GOP events than the Dem events.
I agree with you, Phil. Like, when I see stuff like this, I think about how depressing it is that so much of our life and relationships now is boiled down to something like politics, right? There's so much more to the world, to everything, to the life you live every day than politics.
Yes, and I understand that this is going to sound partisan, and I am partisan. There's no question about that. But at the same time, like, I do think that if you're on the right or in the center, you can easily say, okay, this stuff isn't a focus of my life. If you're a feminist all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like if you're a Christian, you're a Christian all the time. There's not.
It affects all of your choices.
Yeah, it affects everything in your life. If you're on the left, it affects all of your choices. If you're in the center or right leaning, if you're left leaning, someone's going to give you hell about Donald Trump, and if you're not joining in there, they're going to be like, "Are you really on the left?" Or it's going to be a thing. Whereas if you're center or center right or not, you don't want to be engaged in politics, that's acceptable on the center right. Even so much, I think even on the fairly, really conservative right. I think you can be, well, I'm not super into politics,
I'd say once you get farther to the ends of the spectrum, they start getting really mad and morally judge you for not caring more, because it gives them a thrill to pretend like they're morally superior to you, because they believe that them paying laser focused attention to politics every day is somehow doing more for society than you are. Newsflash, whether it's your family, your friends, the people that you live your daily life with, the people you interact with, you do more good for society there than you do just by endlessly consuming news all day.
The Groypers care about a drop or two, so.
A drop or two?
The Groypers care about a drop or two.
What does that even mean?
Your blood.
Oh.
Like, all I'm saying is,
if you have a drop or two of the wrong kind of blood, the Groypers would have a problem.
Here, like, when you tell somebody, like, look, I don't care much for politics these days, it's annoying, they get very, very like, well, you know what? The world's coming to an end in November, and it's going to be your fault because you didn't do something about it by not also tweeting about it like I am.
They need a politically homeless speeding date. Speed dating event. And actually, I think there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to date someone and marry someone who's politically aligned with you. There just is a sign, if you're going to one of these events, there's a sign that politics takes up too much of your brain space.
Yes.
Because there is so much more than that to have in common with someone than merely your political stances and who you vote for. But there's nothing wrong with that inherently, seeing that as something that's important to you. And I don't know, do you guys feel like the Trump supporter was in the wrong for trying to sabotage them?
I wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have done it, but
look, both sides.
Was it wrong of him?
Yes, I do.
I don't know that I want to say it's wrong, but I mean, I don't want to. I don't think it's wrong.
They weren't hurting anyone by doing this, and both sides then want to complain about polarization. Well, these aren't politicians; these are citizens, and I don't think that it was right to just. I'm going to laugh at it. It makes me laugh, but it makes me laugh a little bit.
You show up to the A Dem speed dating event. And then like George Santos is there.
See, the best one would be the
Laura Loomer
living La Vida libertarian one, where they just argue with each other the whole time.
Amazing.
A bunch of libertarians trying to actually learn about one another, and they just start arguing about the Fed and the non-aggression principle.
It ruins the fun.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is everyone's going to end up talking about politics when it's like. Okay, you went to this event so that you knew you'd have political common ground with these people. That means you can talk about everything else other than politics, but that's not what's going to happen at an event like this.
No,
it's just going to be political.
It's in
stuff.
the forefront of your brain just by virtue of why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So someone's like, oh, so what do you do for work? Well, that made me think of this thing that happened today that Donald Trump said about my job. Like, it's just going to be there.
No fun.
Nope.
And dating should be fun.
Yes.
Controversial take. No Control said same people that call ivermectin horse dewormer call horse tranquilizer marriage counseling. Yikes. Put a Girl On said Something Left Over guy is back with Bird. So all that remains is now called Something Left Over.
Oh, yeah. That's going to take a while to get used to. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh.
True13 said, how many babies are made by intoxicated people?
Many?
A lot of them.
A lot?
A lot.
Greg Duvier said, Phil, when is the new album coming out? I'm asking every day until I get a date. When I mean date, I want month, day, year.
I'm not going to tell you.
Why would he tell you?
Sorry.
Andrew Yu said, I know it goes against the normal flow of the show, but I really enjoyed the discussion with Phil on Thursday and would really enjoy seeing more like it. Well, today is Thursday.
I think he meant Tuesday.
You might have meant Tuesday.
I do that all the time. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Andrew Yu also said segments directly addressing the culture from a cultural standpoint without it becoming a political blame session like IRL. Yeah. Now that you mention it, I totally understand. It doesn't need to be antagonizing anyone, but just pointing out like this is a problem. What could we do to fix it? Yep. Sorenko Productions said, hey Brett, glad you're back. Have you seen the newest Murder in a Small Town episode? I found out last episode that apparently it's based on a book series.
Yeah, everything is based on a book series these days. I did learn that as well at the beginning. Yes, I did see the most recent episode. Episode 3, much better than episode 2. Probably not quite as good as episode 1. What I have learned from this show is that it does better when it stays away from Chief Allberg's personal life and focuses on the mystery, where they actually put time into writing that, and they have to have really good guest stars. So in the first episode, they had legendary actor James Cromwell, and the episode was really, really good. In the second episode, they didn't really have any guest stars of note, and I felt like it suffered because it spent more time on his personal life and his interactions with Cassandra. That's like the hallmark element to the show, which probably
that sounds like the part that appeals to women.
Yeah. Right? So, but the mystery in episode 3, and they got Stana Katic on. She was obviously from the show Castle, and Absentia is really, really good. I was like, she plays an almost aristocratic psychopath. It's really, really interesting. Like, if you imagined your evil stepmother being like, you had an evil stepmother who ended up being a pyromaniac. It's a lot of fun. I do think if there's women watching, you will probably like the show. It really does feel like somebody said, let's make a Hallmark murder mystery show.
Yeah,
and that's what it feels like.
Something for everyone.
I like it when it minimizes the Hallmark and focuses on the murder mystery, and it seems like it tries to find a delicate balance from episode to episode. The one downside for that episode was that it didn't utilize Christine Kruick enough, and Lucas Bryant, who plays kind of the foil to Chief Allberg's relationship. Lucas Bryant is a really, really good Canadian actor, and he shouldn't just be thrown in there for like a couple of scenes. He deserves more screen time, so maybe more episodes that, if they're going to focus on it, they got to find a way to balance it between that and the murder mystery stuff. So yes, I have seen it, and I would recommend that people check it out because, people are always complaining that, we're complaining too much about the stuff we watch. Well, The Penguin is good so far. Murder in a Small Town is good so far. I'm 2 episodes behind on Agatha, but
you're still planning to watch
I'm
that?
going to finish it. Through come hell or high water, I'm going to finish Agatha all along.
I thought that you didn't have a completionist mindset.
The episodes are only like 30 minutes long, so it's not as much effort.
200 Watt Studio said, "Hey, Mary and Phil, good to see you." Oh, hi, Brett.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Alex making beds and in the midst of rewriting his book said, "Hey, Brett, happy to see the patriarchy back in power. Hey, Mary, ask Phil." Okay, I'm going to ask you now. Why do Marxists only drink tea that is decaf? Because proper tea is theft.
True.
Okay. Pat the Plumber said, "How can they complain about a genocide in Gaza when there's a femicide going on in the Congo?"
It's like what I said about Macklemore. I'm like, I give him points for hipster activism, where he cares about causes that nobody else seems to care about.
He's creative.
What's going on in the Sudan? Oh my goodness! He's like Abu Dhabi. Get out of here.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Short bus is the correct answer. I'm proud of y'all." Happy to make you proud. 200 Watt Studio said, Annie Knight is the Costco of S workers. Wait, so...
I didn't even think about it.
Is that a stage name?
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure it is.
I didn't think about it. Shane H. Wilder said, "Sleeping with 600 people is not a flex for men or women. Ladies, if you meet a guy who filled out that form, run. It is a red flag you can see from space."
Look, I'm not saying that it's morally good. I'm saying it's more impressive if a man achieves that than a woman.
I would say it's less embarrassing.
There you go. That's a fair compromise.
Yeah. 200 Watt Studio said her nickname is Looney Bin because it only costs $1 Canadian. The Rumbling said Brett and Phil should submit their application to this sex bot just to see if their height would get them rejected.
No.
Just automatic filter.
No.
I won't even
I don't think they would do that anyway.
That's disgusting.
And she's not even a robot. She's a real person, unfortunately. Shane H. Wilder said, "Make asylums great again."
There you go.
Honestly, that should be our merch. Make asylums great again.
Somebody make that logo. Is that can you make that and not get copyrighted?
Is make blank great again copyright? I don't know. Quiet Inari said, "Okay, who's going to be the real Chad to fake the application and stage an intervention for this 304? Also, welcome back, Bretman."
Thank you. Yeah, somebody just signs up.
It's not a bad idea.
Comes with a Bible.
Yeah.
Have you heard the news?
Yeah, I mean it's not the worst idea in the world. Any viewers in Australia want to volunteer as tribute?
There's this great video of have you ever seen the video of the guy who he wears the white button up in the tie and he makes videos talking to 304s, and he has one where he says why can't Australian women say no? And the whole video is just Australian thoughts saying nar. He's like, no, nar. No, nar.
Yeah, they have an issue with that.
Nar.
Cubano 1986 said, "My uncle came from Guatemala. He was quiet, but he always had a saying. Inky stay, Enos pay, which means one way or another, you got to earn that $5. Okay.
Well, thank you.
John Winslow said, "Man opens 600 pickle jars. Women call him sexist."
That would be the man's version of it. Is I open 600 pickle jars.
That women would get judged for opening pickle jars? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the analogy here.
There's got to be something better.
Quiet Inari said, "A key that opens any lock is called a master key, but a lock that opens for any key is a shitty lock."
I mean, I get what people are saying, but that's not why it's bad. It's men and women are different, and the differences are significant. They're not just superficial. So
the analogy is pretty surface level.
It is, yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, "I just tweeted Alex Stein about A Dem. He follows me, so we might get him to do it. Just doing my service as a crisis actor, 07.
Thank you.
I hope he follows through. I want to see his video at A Dem, and then we'll have him here to interview him about it.
That would be great.
Marco said, random, have you ever heard of beatbox drinks?
Nope.
No.
I haven't either. Nate said to the guy who made the pony joke, you're a hero.
I didn't hear the pony joke.
I don't know either. Okay. We have a few more. Shane H. Wilder said, make blank great again is not copyrighted. I'll try to work something up tonight for Make Asylums Great Again.
We'll have to see if Jessica can make something for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
200 Watt Studio said this loony bin needs a fumigation. Wait, what?
I guess if she was in the loony bin,
She would ruin it for the rest of the crazy people.
yeah.
Okay, I think we're all caught up on the super chats then.
We'll hang out then. I did want to point out that somebody asked how the Pizza Hut was. So when I was gone,
Oh yeah, you did actually make it to Pizza Hut Classic. That was a joke. I didn't even know if that was part of your plan for the trip.
No. So there's Pizza Hut Classics in Minnesota, and we just kept missing them.
Yeah.
And then when we were driving, so what we did is we flew into O'Hare and then drove from Chicago to Minnesota. And on the way back, we stopped at one there, and it was amazing how, like, we're taking videos, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, people come in here and take pictures all the time." And got
It's a tourist destination.
and got Book It pins and Book It shirts. And there was somebody, maybe they're watching right now, who slandered me on my Twitter by saying that I'm not old enough to remember Book It as it was, which is ridiculous.
Wait, for anyone who's not aware, can you please explain?
What Book It is? Well, yeah, you would have to read a certain amount of books through this program with your school and Pizza Hut to then get a free personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut.
How many books?
I don't even remember. It was that long ago.
How did you prove that you even read
You
them,
had to
though?
get a sign off from the teacher.
What? They would have to
Yeah.
interview you
Yeah.
about that?
It was a long time ago, but it was a part of everyone my age's childhood to do this program, and I didn't do it more than the average kid. We had a similar program actually in hockey where we got like hockey sticks for doing a certain amount of hours of practice outside of your actual time while playing, for your team. If you went out and got a sign off that you were practicing when you were not necessarily a team practice, meaning in Minnesota you can go skate outside in the winter, so you don't have to rent ice time. So we would get rewards for that. It's a very similar program. But I have my Book It pin, and I made the joke while I was eating my pizza. I said, which we did. We ordered personal pan pizzas, even though we could have just gotten one big one. We each ordered personal pan pizzas, and I was like, I feel like I'm cheating because I didn't have to read any books to get this.
Did you get dessert? Did you go to the salad bar?
I took a picture of the salad bar. I did not eat from the salad bar. And I did not steal any red cups.
Did they have the stained glass ceiling lamps as well?
They did. So they had the stained glass ceiling, the stained glass lamp covers, and they had the
Where
pictures.
is it again?
I don't even remember. We were in Wisconsin.
Well, there's like
somewhere.
a website that lists all of the Pizza Hut classics, and there are some in Virginia, but they're super far away.
There's a Substack dedicated just to telling you where the local Pizza Hut classics are. But we had the nicest waiter in history. I don't want to blow this guy's spot up, but he definitely, like, Olivia wanted to buy. She's like, "Can I just buy a Book It shirt? Because I'm not in school anymore." He just gave us one.
We have a nice 20 from Dr. Larsena. Brett, your neutrality is annoying. Okay, no one's faultless, but the aggressors in the culture war are always the left, especially the cultural Marxists. Some of us just want government off our back and activists out of our face.
Well, unless you can prove to me that the women at this speed dating event were those people.
So this is about A Dem?
Yeah.
You saying that he shouldn't have done that?
Yeah, I don't think they should have done that.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel any type of way about it. I think it's probably not right, but it's funny.
Yeah, that's the same point I'm making. I'll laugh at it, but I would not do that, and I don't think that it was necessarily the right thing to do. I'm not saying no one's at fault. I'm saying that you're talking about specific people, meaning activists and government. I don't know, unless you've got proof that the people at this speed dating event were those people.
Yeah. You know what? More than prioritizing just having the same political party affiliation as the person you date or marry, you need to pick out the very specific political issues that you need to be on the same page about. Like, for instance, I would not marry someone who isn't pro-life.
Yeah.
That's extremely important to me. and probably other social issues as well. It differs for each person, but just because someone's a Republican doesn't mean that we align on the philosophical basis for our beliefs.
The right does tend to have has more variety in what they can be considered the right. I mean, there are people that are to some degree pro-choice on the right, and there are people that are very staunchly pro-life on the right. There's no one on the left anymore that's pro-life, at all.
There are like very few. I've seen like this one Twitter account.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what it's called. It's like liberal pro-life or something.
Yeah.
Like people
they
who
showed
call
up at the
themselves
March
that.
for Life. It was like liberal, pro-life liberals or something.
Liberals
They were
for
at the
life
March.
or something.
Sure you did.
Like they
Sure you saw
exist. There are dozens of them. Dozens.
in
A
America.
whole 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I look. You know what the thing reminded me of? It reminded me of who was it, like bought the tickets to some concert for some artist he didn't like, so that no one would show up.
Oh, wasn't that Drake and some other rapper?
Yeah. It was something
allegedly,
like that, right?
Someone like bought out a Chris Brown concert or something.
Look, it's funny. It's funny, but in this case,
that I don't care so much.
Both sides don't really have the moral high ground when it comes to incidents like that. I'm worried more about actual political violence and stuff like that, which does seem to be increasingly just the left.
Thank you for the third crisis party of the day.
They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
I love it.
This is one of the reasons why so much of what we talk about ends up being a problem is like you focus on a specific issue and then everybody makes it about everyone involved in it rather than the specific group you're talking about.
Like these people are the same people who say this,
but it's not really.
Sometimes
the same people.
it's not the same.
No, it's not. It's not the same people. It's like that's the problem, right? Then if somebody who's not that person gets offended, that you're saying, well, I'm not that person.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you saying that? And then it just becomes a reciprocating incident. It just keeps going back and forth, over and over. So
say, I
it's
like
funny.
pancakes, and they ask you why you hate waffles.
Yeah. So,
exactly. Yeah. Omega Red Fan said, my daily anti-communist donation. Thank you for that. We'll send it straight to Phil. Nate said, Super Chat won't let me say horse. Okay.
Why not?
I don't know. Potatoes for Seamus said...
He didn't mean horse. What does horse sound like?
Okay. But he said pony, so I don't know. Potatoes for Seamus said, Phil, do you or the castle / Tim need / want a permanent... What does that say?
FFL?
At the castle?
I don't.
Firearms license?
What does that mean?
Federal firearms license. Depending on what kind, it would mean that you can have certain guns that are restricted or you need paperwork for under the federal firearms license. I am not in a position to make that call. That would be a Tim call. So this is not my property. So
ask Tim.
Yeah.
The Rumbling said, a man without a job for over a year or more is a bum. A woman without a job for over a year or more is still a woman.
Yeah.
Look,
is she homeless?
women that don't have jobs are just as valuable as if they have jobs. In fact, there is an argument to be made that like women that have careers, that's a turnoff for some guys. There's no guy that's going to be like, that girl doesn't do anything, I don't like her. Like, that's just not how guys think. Whereas women will be like, that guy doesn't do anything. There's no way I'm dating him. There are songs written about don't want no scrubs. Like, you cannot be a guy and have nothing going on.
After all the financial problems that TLC had, they had no right to write that song.
They didn't. But I mean, to be honest with you, I understand the music industry a little bit, and I think that it's more common than you think.
In this era of social consciousness towards climate change, the fact that you would shame someone.
Anyways, the point is, like, women don't have to do anything in particular to have value. Women have value because they are. Men have to do things to have value.
Shaming someone for carpooling is just wrong.
You look like you're not sure about that. I am telling you.
I don't think a job is equivalent with having a purpose, and individuals should have their own purpose and passions for things.
If a woman is like, I have a passion for getting married and having babies, That's all she needs.
Okay, sure. But if she hasn't done that yet, what is she doing?
Looking to get married.
Is she doing anything to make that happen? Is she doing anything to be a better person?
I think the point that I'm making is for a man to look at a woman and say, I find her desirable, she doesn't have to have work. What she does doesn't matter, right? As in a job or whatever. For a woman to look at a man, he better have a job or he better have a boatload of money from like being independently wealthy.
Yeah, I would still say it's a bad thing for a woman to just like sit in her house all day, like bed rotting, like
it may be a bad thing,
not
but
doing anything with her life.
It may be a bad thing, but that's not that. Most guys are going to be like, if they find her attractive, they're going to be like, well, she doesn't really do anything, but I don't mind. Especially if like her house is like, if her house is always clean, if her house is a pigsty, that'll be a problem. But if her house is always spotless, and
she goes to the gym, she may not have a job, but she goes to the gym.
Like that's what I'm saying. Do you do anything? Like it's not conducive to meeting anyone either. Like how are you even going to meet the guy?
Again, if
you don't do anything with your life.
I don't disagree with that stuff, but the point that I'm making is only that men will not find a woman unattractive because she doesn't have a job, whereas men.
Sure, I mean that's not what I'm even arguing. That like I'm not even arguing against that.
Okay.
I'm just saying like you should have a purpose.
Stuff to do, yes, that's fine.
Interests.
Look, if she goes to the gym all the time,
you should have an intellectual life.
If she goes to the gym and she likes to read books and stuff like that, that's enough for a guy.
Yeah. It's not about a job. It's about having a purpose, not being a
Fair
bump
enough.
on a log. Okay. Zach Yandel said, missed you, Brett.
Thank you.
Zach Yandel also said, you too, Mr. Phil.
Cheers.
Greg Duvier said, Phil, you would be proud of me. I got a vote for Kamala Harris text. I replied, I don't want communism. This is what Kamala Harris is promoting.
Good
Still
call.
waiting for them to reply back.
I
don't think you're going to hear anything.
Yeah. But I am proud of you. I think that's a very good response.
Nate said, I'm referring to the guy who made horse pill joke. Big ups to him. I still don't know which joke that was, but okay.
About the horse dewormer.
200 Watt Studio said, men want a woman that provides peace. Peace can be employed or unemployed.
Yes.
Yeah. And one thing about that is if she doesn't have anything outside of herself, she's not really doing what a woman is supposed to do. Like women do concern themselves with other people and having relationships, having conversations, and bed rotting is not really conducive to that. And then if she makes a man into her purpose, it can turn into a sort of devouring mother situation. That's where I see it going wrong. High Voltage 75 said, Brett, Mary expressed to us how much she loved being in charge of PCC while you were gone. Might want to check the brake lines on your car before you leave today. Wow.
I'll give it a double check before I
don't appreciate these
pull
allegations.
out onto the freeway to make sure that nothing bad happens. But, the shows went well, and that's what matters. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. You've got just a few seconds if you want to get us that fourth crisis party before we go.
We're like over halfway.
Over halfway.
Yeah.
Would have been good. But all right, again, hit the like button on this video, subscribe if you have not already. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for joining us. And Phil, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Where can they find you?
I appreciate it. I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains, and you can find us on Instagram and on the YouTubes. We have 3 new videos out, one for a song called No Tomorrow, one for a song called Let You Go, and one for a song called Divine. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We have a $20 super chat from Dr. Larcena. Brett, this was not about the specific event, but about the unreflective plague on both their houses approach. There is one side making everything a political war. Eventually they will succeed, but the fault is not even.
I didn't say that. All I did was address the one specific incident and give you my approach to how I would handle it, and I would not have done that, is all I said.
Fair enough. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at MaryArchived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also MaryArchived. Do we have another one?
I think that was,
Okay,
was catching up to it right there. But we are getting dangerously close to that fourth crisis party. Perhaps he wants to keep arguing with me.
Yes, keep it going.
If Dr.
More
Larsena
beef.
wants to keep arguing with me, you can do that, but you've only got a few minutes. If you guys would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at is there one more there? One from Shane?
Shane H. Wilder said, nah, Mary will just resume beating Brett. Also fake news.
Yes.
Never happened.
Never happened. At Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music and Spotify if you would prefer to. Oh, wait, no, let's go. Spotify and Apple Music, right? Those are Apple Podcasts?
Apple Podcasts, I guess. is what it's
Spotify and
called,
Apple
technically.
Podcast if you would
Yes.
like to listen rather than watch the show. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok because we were banned on TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.